Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
There were a few significant things in the budget which struck me. And one of the things that struck me was the repeated reference to the International Monetary Fund. And you know my position on that. I mean, we are told that we have to review, our value-added tax. And the minister says, we've invited a specialized team from the IMF to come and help us review value-added tax. My goodness. This is a country which has a faculty, economics, which has been headed by distinguished professors and so on in economics. Look at UGMC. Look at University of Ghana. Look at all the universities we have. And we are still being told by our leaders that even to review VAT, we have to go and bring strangers, to come and help us. Do they know our economy better than all these experts we have locally? It is shocking. I don't know why we haven't gotten out of this yet. Why we always have to run to some IMF, some foreigners, and so on, in order to find solutions to very, very simple problems, and so on. I mean, that struck me, and I hesitated a bit. But then on listening to the budget, generally, I came to the conclusion that, look, it's still in the neoliberal framework. So maybe they can be forgiven. Still in the neoliberal framework, it does not address the fundamental issues of development for a country like Ghana. You understand? That was my view. However, if you look at it from the point of view of the fulfillment of manifesto promises, I think it's an excellent budget. Okay, what did they tell us? That they will remove e-levy. They have removed e-levy. They told us that they will remove betting tax. They've removed betting tax. They told us that they will remove emission tax. They have removed those taxes. In fact, all of the taxes that they told us were going to remove have been removed. You understand? With the exception of the one which is embedded in the VAT structure. And the explanation is that because the VAT structure is being reviewed and so on, it makes sense to wait. And I agree with them that it makes sense to wait. One of the other promises which was made to us, was that the government was going to take measures to seal the holes in the economy. And we had assurances that those holes would be sealed. And those are huge holes. In fact, they are craters in the economy. And government gave the indication that those holes were going to be sealed. Now, there was some very interesting reaction to the budget. One of the most interesting reactions to the budget is the reaction to the removal of the e-levy. And Massa, I go back to the election manifestos. Which political party did not promise to cancel the e-levy? Show me one political party who did not promise to cancel.
They all promised to remove e-levy.
So if it has been removed, what is the big deal now? Now they are raising the question about, we need a lot of tax revenue to be able to govern the country, there are holes in the economy and so on. And therefore, how are you going to fill the hole which is going to be created as a result of the removal of e-levy and so on? When you were promising to remove e-levy, how did you plan to plug those holes and so on? And yesterday, the Minister for Finance gave an answer, which simply said that they were cutting down government expenditure as a means of plugging those holes. Now, I go back to the fundamental principles of taxation. And my brother here, I'm sure, is very conversant with the fundamental principles of taxation. And the most outstanding principle of taxation is this. The question of equality does not arise in taxation. Equality does not arise in taxation. The principle is to tax those who have more than they need, a lot more, and to tax those who don't have less.
They call it progressive taxation.
Whatever they call it.
Yes.
But that's the principle.
Yes.
So in taxation, it is possible always, and indeed it should happen always, to cancel some taxes and impose new taxes in order to bring about a certain level of equilibrium.
Yeah.
So if you come to me and you say, why? They have cancelled 3 taxes and imposed 4, that's a non-issue. What we ought to be addressing is whether or not the whole arrangement is fair, whether the whole arrangement will lead to the alleviation of poverty, whether the whole arrangement will lead to stimulating growth, will lead to improving the quality of life of people. Those are the critical questions we answered, not the number of taxes. Why do some people make us always feel like, they think they are talking to fools? We are not. You understand? So, yeah, they cancel 4 taxes and impose 5. So what? What is the objective? What is likely? What is going to be the likely consequence of this new arrangement? Does it fit into the policy orientation and so on? These are the critical things. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I do, totally.
And then there's this whole debate about GDP. And so, oh my goodness. Please don't treat us that way. Don't treat the citizens of Ghana that way. Why? On this very platform, this program, when Randy used to be in the chair, we used to constantly remind ourselves that when Ghana starts paying its debts, the real economic situation will hit us in the face. We stopped paying debts for over a year. Understand? So at the time when your debt payment has been suspended, you will post higher GDP than when you start paying the debt. Common sense. Just common sense. And yet we are being whipped with this. I can't believe it. What do they think of us? Why? They think that we are all yo-yos or something? Let's have a serious discussion of the state of the national economy and so on. I've done some checks since the budget. And I've been surprised by some of the things that I've found. One of the things that I've found, for example, is that the cost of education in Ghana is the highest in the world. Check.
Really?
Yes. The cost of education is the highest in the world. Shouldn't we begin to think about how to reduce that cost? First of all, what are the factors which make the cost of education in Ghana the highest in the world? And what measures can we take in order to bring down the cost of education? These are the things that we should be interrogating. You understand? The joblessness. What are the things that we need to do in order to stimulate job creation? That's how we should be looking at the budget. You have a situation where cocoa production over the last 2 years has fallen by more than 60%. Cocoa production has fallen by more than 60%. And then you are in parliament telling me that your GDP was higher than this GDP and so on. Is that an issue? No matter what the GDP is, cocoa production has fallen by about 60%. You are living in an economy where all your water bodies have been so badly polluted, which is going to affect, fish production, for example, is going to be heavily affected. Your importation of fish is going to go up. Your medical bills are going to go up as a result of galamsey. Children are being born without eyes, deformed at birth, and so on. And then you are telling me about GDP. What does that mean? In any case, GDP is a statistical average. And no statistical average tells the full story unless you break it down. And so look, they should come and tell us something better. What they are doing sometimes, it's really nauseating. They are talking about a situation in which, Massa, and I'm not lying, you all know it's the truth. In a matter of 8 years, you have managed to bring the price of a ball of kinky from 50 pesos, not to 1 cedi, not to 2 cedis, not to 3 cedis, but to 5 cedis. And you're telling me about GDP, that you had a higher GDP than the one which is projected for now? What does it mean? Talk to commercial drivers, my brother. Go and talk to the commercial drivers. Many of these taxi and trotro drivers, they wake up at dawn. They wake up at dawn and slave for 18 hours. At the end of the day, they cannot make their daily sales. So they have to go and borrow in order to make their daily sales so that they can keep their vehicles. They are dying. They are dying. They cannot look after their children and so on. These are the things we should be addressing. And then you come and tell me about GDP. What does that mean? What does that really mean? I have a friend who plays the guitar. He's a professional musician. He plays the guitar. 2 weeks ago, his child was knocked down by a vehicle. Knocked down by a vehicle. And they had to rush the child to one of those hospitals. They were presented with a bill which had to be paid before they touched the child, of 120,000 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
How is he ever going to raise 120,000 cedis? This is the issue we should be addressing in the budget. You understand? Both of you, you are a member of parliament. You understand? Honorable member of parliament. Master, you are a respected member of our society. Very well educated and so on. If any of you today was hit with a medical bill of 120,000 Ghana cedis, could you pay?